Cycling for me has never been about the bikes. They've only ever been the prerequisite tool. I do not see just a bike race, I see riders on heroic journeys and warriors doing battle. At one point, cycling was the most popular sport in Europe because newspapers told magnificent tales about epic races and crafted the great champions into legends. But with the advent of television, cycling lost some of its mystique, and that golden age of journalism and narration has perished. So now let us try to return some romance to the beautiful sport. Let us praise and give glory to phenomenal performances to be remembered for decades to come. Let us dwell on the moments that inspire and move us. Let us chronicle the rise and fall of heroes. Let us chart these life-changing journeys, these cycling odysseys. All right, welcome back to another episode of Cycling Odysseys. I'm your host, Patrick Santino. Today, we are looking back at Stage 17 of the 2020 Tour of France. This was the Queen stage. This is what this show is all about. I'm so excited for this one. Still love remembering it as much as I did when I first watched it. So crazy, so awesome. Oh my gosh, this is what the show is all about. My recap of it, I think this is one of my best ones. So pumped to share it with you guys, to relive it. Definitely go watch the stage. This one, it's like, all right, yeah, watch the stage. I think anybody could find this interesting, But, whereas there's some parts of cycling where it's like the general population, no, you don't. But anyways, this one was awesome. Let's just jump into it because, I don't know, I could keep hyping it up and then I might accidentally overhype it. But yeah, I thought this was one of my better ones. Please enjoy. Thanks for listening. Here we go. Superman puts on his cape for the Queen stage. 2020 Tour de France, Stage 17, Grenoble to Méribel, Col de Luz, 170 kilometers. Superman wins up the new, long and steep Col de Luz. Roglic, second, gains time on the rest of GC favorites. Another post that shall easily write itself. My fingers shall click the keys with such delight and emphasis after watching the best stage of this 2020 tour. The profile of the stage is simple to explain, but oh, is it so difficult for the riders to ride. After about 80 kilometers of relatively flat valley roads to start the stage, the peloton would first scale the mighty Col de Madeleine, its 25th appearance on the Tour de France. Ons catégorie, beyond category, it is ranked. The highest ranking a climb can be given. A long, brutal climb it always is, at 17 kilometers long and 6% average gradient. Surely it is the perfect leg softener before the finale. And historically, with likes of polka dot legends Lucien Van Impe and Richard Virenque having been the first to crest the top 3 times each in eras long gone, it was the perfect place to finally kick off the polka dot jersey competition properly. Since Stage 2, Benoît Cosnefroy of AG2R has been wearing the polka dots without much competition, but with points available today, it is time for a climber of the highest quality to emerge who is worthy to reign as the king of the mountains, the KOM. The first over the top in the breakaway was Richard Carapaz of Ineos Grenadiers, sprinting ahead of our musketeer Julian Alaphilippe of Deceuninck Quickstep to take maximum points. Thus, Carapaz took the maximum 20 KOM points. Alaphilippe 15, their 2 breakaway companions, the 3rd and 4th, took 12 and 10 respectively. Then, from the peloton, the white jersey of best young rider Tadej Pogačar of UAE made sure to grab the next 8 points available for 5th over the top. Yes, both Pogačar and Roglic of Jumbo-Visma inadvertently began the day only a few KOM points off the lead in the competition. With those 8 points, Pogačar took the virtual lead in the King of the Mountains competition. If there were not better stories to tell on the stage, I would plead my case to the Dear Reader jury to silence those who rip on the beautiful polka dot jersey. How could such haters exist? Perhaps tomorrow. Yet we move on now to the stage's finale. Stage honors and more KOM points were available at the top of the stage's mighty summit finish. After a long descent, it was time for the final Beyond category summit finish of the Col de Loz, a new climb to the Tour and surely one destined to be accounted among the legends in the coming decades. Oh, dear readers, it has everything we fans dream of for a summit finish deep into the Tour de France. First, it is very long at 21 kilometers. Second, it comes with a respectable 7.8% average gradient. But here are the key features. The final few highest kilometers are not even a proper road, but a 4-meter wide bike path over the pass to connect one town to another. And dear readers, those final kilometers are very steep. Yes, I tell you, long stretches averaging 14 to 16% gradients, even 18% to 24% in some spots. And with the breakaway less than 3 minutes up the road, surely the GC favorites would duke out the stage win. Yes, I don't think Henri de Grange, the father of the Tour, could have dreamt of a better finishing climb for today's stage. In fact, this would be the highest point the 2020 Tour would reach, and thus a special Henri de Grange prize would be awarded to the stage winner, in addition to 40 KOM points. And the riders, oh, how they set it up perfectly. The little talked-of Bahrain-McLaren team took command of the race on the lowest slopes of the Madeleine, and my, how dominant they were. Bahrain rode for their team captain Mikel Landa, who was 7th place on GC to start the day, 2 minutes and 13 seconds behind Roglic. Their sprinter Sonny Colbrelli pulled the mini Wout van Aert of Jumbo-Visma, doing such a strong turn on the Madeleine, shedding so many riders behind whose day would be done. Bahrain-McLaren. They came to the bottom of the Loz with still 5 riders left in a group of 40 or 50 total. Up the road, Carapaz was dropping our Musketeer and other breakaway companions, but Bahrain was closing down this gap in metronomic fashion. Let me proclaim their names, for their fame deserves to be increased. The Bahrain-McLaren workers, who shredded the peloton. Slovenian Matej Mohoric, Dutchman Wout Poels, Basque Peo Bilbao, Italian Damiano Caruso, all turned themselves inside out for Basque leader Mikel Landa on this day. With their bright orange uniforms, they seemed like a construction crew, but that is inaccurate. This day, they were a demolition crew. Yes, all day on these 2 climbs, they took their drills and sledgehammers to all the riders in the peloton. On the earliest slopes of the Loz, the peloton was already down to just 33 men, and 5 of them were Bahrain destroyers on the front. Of course, the team of the Tour, Jumbo-Visma, still had equal numbers up there. But who would have expected to see such efforts from anonymous Bahrain-McLaren today? They whittled the peloton down to 20 riders, cracking Jumbo's Robert Gesink and George Bennett, extremely respectable climbers. They hawked down Carapaz to a mere dozen seconds lead. They cracked the mighty Wout van Aert with still 7 kilometers to ride. And then they hit this hyped-up bike path, and it lived up to the hype. With the last Bahrain, Damiano Caruso, still on the front for Mikel Landa, the only individuals left with them were Tom Dumoulin and Sepp Kuss, both of Jumbo-Visma, working for their team leader and yellow jersey wearer Primož Roglic. Astana's Superman Lopez was there, EF's Rigoberto Urán, Trek's Richie Porte, Movistar's Enric Mas and Alejandro Valverde, and white jersey Pogačar had Domestique David de la Cruz of UAE for support. Of the 12 riders left, 9 of them were top 9 on general classification. These were the finales we dream of for a summit finish at the Tour de France. Meanwhile, Carapaz was still ahead, hitting the first 14 to 15% gradients. Oh, it was already taking a mighty effort. Why? With such small gears, he looked like a mountain biker spinning up the rocky steep trails. And then De La Cruz came to the front for one last effort to break some of the leaders for his man in white, Tadej Pogačar. Instantly, Caruso was finished, and old Valverde with him. Dumoulin cracked next, and soon, yes, despite all his mates' work, Mikel Landa cracked also. Blame him not, dear readers. Bahrain grabbed the race by the horns today, not allowing themselves to be pushed around by the mighty stinging wasps of Jumbo-Visma and their yellow and black jerseys. Better to try and fail than not try at all. Today, for the first time, Bahrain has won many hearts, but the carnage did not end there. Urán was done, and Yates cracked with him. And with his teammate De La Cruz's turn done, Pogačar went to the front of that most elite group. But what is this, we thought? It's a bird. It's a plane. Yes, dear readers, it was Superman. It was only his first Tour de France, but surely this was a long time coming. Oh, how I have waited years for this moment when Superman would finally don his cape in France on an epic mountain stage such as this. With 3.6 kilometers remaining, Superman Lopez was flying off the front, and with that, Enric Mas was finished, and Richie Porte was scrambling to latch on to a wheel. Carapaz's lead up front was only 10 seconds now as Superman chased him down. Quote me not on this, but I may have heard these two are good friends, fishing partners. With Pogačar, Roglic, and Jumbo-Visma teammate Sepp Kuss all on his wheel. With 3.2 kilometers to go, Roglic had his fabulous lieutenant ride on the front of the group to control the pace. Oh, dear international readers, I cannot describe how great it feels to finally have an American counted among the most mighty ones again. Sepp Kuss, the American from the mountains of Colorado, kept the high pace and caught Richard Carapaz with 3 kilometers to go. And then Kuss did something seemingly very strange. There was a crest and then a dip in the road, and Kuss rode on with Lopez on his wheel, opening a gap to his leader Roglic, riding with Pogačar. Every alarm bell had been sounding at this point already. Every commentator was already raising their voice and gasping for air while trying to convey every detail. But this heightened everyone's heart rates. Drama and confusion were reigning as Kuss and Superman rode up the road while the Carnage Cam caught a seemingly struggling Roglic and Pogačar, neck and neck, floundering behind on the steep, grassy, windswept slopes with the dark clouds and jagged peaks towering above. Oh, the image of the Tour thus far. The gap was never more than 10 or 12 seconds to Rog and Pog, but with such extreme gradients, things were extremely tense. Why isn't Sepp waiting for Roglic? We all screamed at the screen. Surely he must wait. Roglic is in trouble. His whole tour is on the line. What the right answer was may not matter, but I think Jumbo here botched a clever ploy. Roglic was supposed to bridge to Kuss and Superman without Pogačar, but Superman and Kuss were going too well. Thus Kuss eased off a little and Superman rode on alone. Then Roglic bridged to Kuss, and Pogačar could not match his compatriot's acceleration across the gap. Finally, a crack in the armor of young Pog. But Superman was already taking advantage of the situation, flying as fast as he could. Oh, finally, he looked again like the Superman that won our hearts for the first time with those 2 Vuelta stages in 2017. Aye, both came on great summits. Long climbs such as this in southern Spain. Oh, how he flew away up the slopes from the likes of Chris Froome, then of Team Sky, and Alberto Contador, El Pistolero. What mighty days were those! And yet, since those days in the Grand Tours, he has been too anonymous for my taste, riding to high placings and fine podiums, but without the electricity of those 2 Vuelta stages when he had enough voltage to light up all of Paris, the city of light. But finally, his first appearance in the largest race, at the perfect time, Superman of old was flying once more. To see such a performance as this is why we love the sport, why we come back for more. It was so great to see Superman put on such a show, to fly away from the competition. And yet, I dare pause here. A break in the hottest parts of the action may be daring on my part, dear readers, but let us see if it proves warranted. Surely you are thinking how, as all of us originally did, that Miguel Angel Lopez received the nickname Superman for the way he was flying up the mountains away from the competition, as I have been describing here. Surely it is applicable to such situations, but that is not the source of the nickname. The real source is much more outlandish and unbelievable, to where I was thankful the commentators retold it today on the broadcast. It needs confirmation, for it is one of those cycling details that is too far-fetched for a movie script. It is too outstanding to be real, and yet it is. Many years ago, young Lopez was still growing up in Colombia. He was riding home on his mountain bike when he was stopped at a gas station. After coming out of the station, he found a few thugs attempting to steal his bike. But the 5'3", 1.64 meters, 130-pound, 59-kilogram climber fought them off. But in the fight, the thugs drew knives and stabbed him in the leg twice. Despite all that, he saved the bike, recovered from many wounds, and became a professional cyclist. Since that day, he's been known as Superman, and it is the greatest nickname in cycling since Vincenzo Nibali's Shark of Messina. Dear readers, now you know why I absolutely love this nickname and strictly stick to it. What a story, stranger than fiction. Truly, you can't make this stuff up. And on Superman flew today. The sky seemed to be getting darker. The gradients were so severe, the riders all seemed to be pedaling into a 50-kilometer-per-hour, 30-mile-per-hour headwind. Superman had a 5-second gap on Kus and Roglic, and they were distancing Pogačar even more. But finally, Kus's tank was empty. A mighty job accomplished. Roglic would have to ride the last 1.6 kilometers alone in hot pursuit of Superman. The gap was 8 seconds, and behind, Rog had Pog on the limit at a similar time gap. Roglic's gear seemed so large as he churned out such powerful revolutions, one by massive one. Meanwhile, Superman's cadence was higher. He seemed to be going at a better clip and looked better in every way. While compared to both, Pogačar looked to be in a world of hurt. At 800 meters to go, the gaps basically stabilized. But it was still an agonizing ordeal to get to the top. Every meter still rising, every meter still stinging. Superman had 10 seconds on Roglic. He was riding himself into third place on GC today, with all the other contenders blown out the back by his Kryptonian attacks. Though Roglic was chasing, it was shaping up to be a good day for his GC campaign, as he would take time on all his biggest rivals, including Pogačar, besides the only dozen or so seconds he would lose to Superman, who he had over a 90-second gap on to begin the day. Behind, Pogačar was digging the deepest we have ever seen him go, but he was defending second overall and riding himself into the polka dot jersey as King of the Mountains leader. In those final hundreds of meters, Pog seemed even to be closing the gap on Roglic, only to have it go out again on the final sting, a steep ramp of 16%. Pog would end up losing 15 seconds to the yellow jersey. Roglic's gap to Superman would be the same 15 seconds, but in both cases, bonus seconds would also be factored in for only minor differences. But at the head of the race, Superman was riding to his greatest victory. Oh, such stages as these are the ones we shall remember, the ones we shall see highlights of in years to come when we hearken back to tours of old. The day Superman flew away from the Slovenians. Surely the Colombians shall celebrate it most of all, as they always do. Upon finishing this piece, I shall try to find their commentators' surely rowdy and unwieldy sensational call of it. Truly, they are always something to behold, barely coherent, and yet more passion has yet to be transmitted across the World Wide Web. Up Superman Lopez came to the line. He could not ease up. He had to ride it out for every second on GC. Upon his front wheel crossing the line, he managed to sit up, and with a scream of joy, he did a celebratory uppercut fist pump, probably as he did to one of the bike thieves years ago. The road was still steep, and he had no momentum, and he was almost already at a standstill. He quickly made the sign of the cross, put one foot down, and softly keeled over his handlebars, breathing heavily after the exhausting effort. It was his greatest day of cycling. All right, so that was the stage. Superman Lopez, Superman, as some say. Pretty awesome, pretty cool. I love it. Oh my gosh, such a wild stage. I don't know. I don't really even want to add too much more to it. I just enjoy that. That's one that I really will reminisce about. That was so cool to see. I'm glad I was able to, capture my thoughts on the day by writing something about it later too. And that's also part of the point of the show too. But yeah, so hopefully everybody enjoyed that. If you want to read the actual thing itself, where there might still be some spelling errors or some sort of typos, whatever, but you can find it at cyclingodysseys.com, and then you can follow me on Twitter, cyclingodysseys. Send me an email about anything, cyclingodysseys@gmail.com. Then what's the other thing? Subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review, please. And if it's 5 stars, I'll read it out. If it's good, I'll give you a prize eventually too. And then, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Let's just leave it here. Thanks for listening. This has been great. Vive le cyclisme.